Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I hope you're having a great day. Well, today in the House, after question period, Speaker Greg Fergus delivered his ruling on the issue of the Hansards being altered about a month ago. You may recall this was in response to the member from Lethbridge, Alberta, being expelled from Parliament on the same day that Pierre Poilievre had been expelled, only a little earlier. She had made a rude comment to Greg Fergus, or about Greg Fergus, and she then withdrew the comment. And you could hear her on the audio recording withdrawing the comment.
I am now prepared to rule on a question of privilege raised on May 1st, 2024 by the member for Lethbridge regarding the content of the debates of April 30th, 2024. In raising her question of privilege, the member stated that the debates of April 30, 2024 did not accurately reflect the previous day's proceedings in the House. She had alleged that the words "I withdraw" had been removed from the blues in the portion where the chair had named her. The member stated that those words appeared under her name in the initial version of the blues and were attributed to her, and that they could be heard in the audio recording. She added that, in this specific context, those words were not insignificant, as they showed that she had unconditionally complied with the Speaker's request, and that her withdrawal from the House was therefore unjustified. The member argued that, since she was unable to participate in the debates and votes of that day, her privileges had been breached. She also noted that this misrepresentation of her actions could amount to an improper reflection upon a member. The member was supported by some of her colleagues, who said that they had heard her say those words. Let us first review the events of April 30. The beginning of question period that day was particularly difficult. There was clearly a lot of strong language and strong reactions that required the chair to intervene. I issued warnings, but also the possibility to rephrase their comments to both the Leader of the Opposition and the Prime Minister for particular words they used. In the course of these events, the chair was subjected to invective from the member for Lethbridge. The chair told the member that challenging decisions of the chair is contrary to the standing orders and subsequently asked her to withdraw her words. The member replied by saying that the chair was acting in a disgraceful manner. At that point, since she did not appear to be complying with my request to withdraw her words, I rose and her microphone was deactivated. Even though the member was only a few meters from the chair, I did not hear what she said after her microphone was turned off, as there was too much noise in the House. The member was named pursuant to Standing Order 11. While the debates are published under the authority of the chair, the House should know that the chair plays no part in editing the debates. The editors of the Parliamentary Publications team craft a record that, in their judgment, best corresponds to the proceedings, without political interference and in a completely non-partisan manner. The editors may make changes to the records of the House proceedings, whether or not those changes are proposed by members, in accordance with their own guidelines and long-standing practices. Moreover, it is understood that the revisions should not alter the substance or meaning of the members' statements in the House. The chair learned that, on April 30, two versions of the blues had been prepared. The words "I withdraw" were indeed in the first version and were attributed to the member for Lethbridge. During the revision process, the editors listened carefully to the audio recording of the sitting, but could not be certain that those specific words had been said or that the statement should be attributed to the member for Lethbridge. The word "withdraw" was clearly audible, but what preceded it was not. Given the context of the exchange between the chair and the member, the words she said immediately prior and the process by naming the member that subsequently began, the audio in question could plausibly be interpreted as either "I withdraw" or "I do not withdraw." In addition, the particularly high level of ambient noise substantially complicated the editor's task. Faced with this uncertainty, the editors removed the words, and a second version of the blues was produced, which was provided to the member. No comments or revisions were communicated to the Parliamentary Publications Department in connection with this intervention prior to the publication of Hansard by the member for Lethbridge or her staff or any other member of their staff. Finally, the words are not included in the published version of the debates. While investigating this matter, the chair also learned that the staff responsible for debates had provided these explanations to the member in the afternoon of May 1, even before she raised her question of privilege. The chair recognizes that the member for Lethbridge states that she said, "I withdraw." The chair has no reason to doubt her word, nor that of the Chief Opposition Whip, who confirmed that others heard those words. I hope she will accept that, because she began by repeating her comments, and because the noise level was so high, the chair did not hear her say that day that she was withdrawing her words. My decision to name her seemed justified based on the information I had at the time. If the member had begun by withdrawing her words, events surely would have unfolded differently. I want to emphasize this point. When the chair asks a member to withdraw offensive remarks and apologize, out of respect for the chair and the rules of the House, the chair expects members to comply, no hesitation, period. An invitation to withdraw words that are deemed unacceptable is not an invitation to repeat those very words. In the event of refusal to comply, a member risks being named and asked to withdraw from the House, or having the chair decide not to recognize them until they do. In conclusion, the chair is of the opinion that the final version of the debates was prepared in accordance with the standards applied by the debates editors, and that their decision, as well as the chair's decision to name the member, were justifiable based on the information available on April 30. Consequently, I cannot find a prima facie question of privilege. The member for Lethbridge has clearly indicated what her words were, and that is now also part of the record.
I must admit that there was a lot of noise there, and at first I didn't catch it, but eventually I did. However, you could not only hear her say, "I withdraw," but as he read the predefined script expelling her from Parliament, you could hear other MPs saying she withdrew. The fact that it was published in the Blues prior to the Hansards being finalized is very concerning. She testified today in Parliament that she was never notified of the change, which is part of the procedure. One other question was brought up, and that was, why did Greg Fergus rule on this? Why didn't he recuse himself?
Member from Calgary, Nose Hill, is rising on a point of order.
Thank you, Chair. My point of order relates to the manner in which you have arrived at this decision. In several previous cases and questions of privilege related to your conduct, for example, I had raised a point of privilege related to the government potentially withholding information on an order paper question which you had signed off on in your role as parliamentary secretary in this parliament. You had recused yourself from this decision. In this instance, you are ruling on a matter which directly relates to, once again, your conduct and your behavior. So how is it possible that you can make a ruling related to your behavior when precedent in this parliament clearly shows that you should have recused yourself? Thank you.
I thank the Honourable from Calgary Nose Hill for raising her point of order. Because the question of privilege was germane to the question of how the Blues are prepared and how the contents of Hansard were prepared, which of course the Speaker has no role in doing, it was found to be appropriate for the Speaker to be able to issue this ruling.
Because it was he who expelled the member from Lethbridge from the House. His response was the question before him was not his expulsion of the member from Lethbridge, but instead it was the question of the alteration of the record. However, he was the only one who benefited from the alteration of the record. He now accepts that the member did speak those words. However, he said that the withdrawal of those words should have been immediate. He noted that her microphone was turned off after she repeated the words that got her in trouble in the first place. What she did was she repeated what she'd said and then said, "I withdraw." So his argument was she should have just simply said, "I withdraw," and he would have heard that. Maybe so. However, it was recorded in the Blues and then altered in the Hansards. And parliamentary procedure is that she be notified of any alterations prior to the finalization of the Hansards, and that she be given an opportunity to state whether or not she agreed with the alteration. According to her, she was not contacted. So is this a massive cover-up? I don't know, but I will say it is very suspicious, because he really is the only one who benefited from the change in the Hansards. At the very least, he should have recused himself from looking into this, from doing an investigation on this matter, because he was directly involved. The old saying that justice must not just be done, but must be seen to be done, really applies here. I don't think that justice is seen to be done, because there are still questions as to whether or not he acted appropriately. But that's just my opinion. I'd love to know what you have to say. Put your comments below. And while you're down there, please like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, share with your friends and on social media, and I'll see you in the next video.